This is Motorsport Radio.
Awesome, right?
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. The Superbike Show is here on Motorsport Radio once again. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. And Lewis Ray is also here. We've got a packed show to get through this evening. Good evening. Hello. Welcome back to the show, Lewis. You were racing at Knockhill at the weekend. Have you fully recovered from that experience?
Yeah, I've pretty much fully recovered. We had sunshine the whole weekend, but still a little bit stiff at the moment. So, yeah.
So not fully
How
recovered.
are you? Yeah, not fully recovered just yet. Give me a couple more days.
Okay. Well, you're getting on a bit now, so it does take you a few days.
Exactly. Grey hairs in a couple of years, I reckon.
I know, I'm only 21. So anyway, Lewis was racing along with a lot of British Talent Cup riders at Knockhill, and he found himself in amongst a talented field, let's say, and we'll painfully go through everything in excruciating detail later on about exactly how well you did. I thought you did all right, to be honest, so we'll talk about that a bit later on. Also coming up on tonight's show, we've got a bit of BSB news. Well, not much. In fact, no news. In fact, from Knockhill, they're doing a unofficial test at the moment, without any timing. So I guess it's not that official. But BSB are at Knockhill doing something, and we'll try and find out about it. But not many people are there because they're all in the Isle of Man, all the people that count anyway. World Superbikes this weekend, and we'll be talking about that and all the big news stories from it, and also catching up with the latest in Isle of Man and talking about the TT, who's gone quickest as we're speaking this Tuesday evening, and who's likely to, or who's looking good, or who Lewis's favourites are for the race week ahead. And also where and how you can watch it, plus all the other action that's going on this weekend, including, but not limited to, Junior GP and European Talent Cup there in Jerez this weekend, and we'll get through all of that. Plus, your comments, because we're live this Tuesday evening, I think. Yes, we are definitely live. Definitely. So, biggest news, Lewis, other than the TT, we're sort of struggling for headlines because there's not really been much. Oh, by the way, this evening's drink is just for me. It's water. Had a glass that I stole out of a pub the other week, an old Mout cider pub. And what have you got, Lewis?
Yeah, I've just got a bottle of water. So
all right.
No ice cream I brew on tonight's show anyway.
Very good. Okay. Headlines then, if there are any. There was a big Johnny Garness update earlier today.
Yep, so headlines in quite a slow week, I think it's fair to say. All the news is kind of at the Isle of Man TT at the moment. All the big guys are at the Isle of Man TT, putting in their first couple of laps, putting in the first couple of sessions. It was Peter Hickman, who was the first rider ever to go over 200 miles per hour down the Selby straight speed trap. So impressive stuff on the first day of running at the TT. It looks to be great weather there for the whole 2 weeks actually. And Knockhill were doing their unofficial test today at Knockhill, and it was kind of an early free practice session. They'll also be running tomorrow as well with a lot of the junior categories there to do some running. And World Superbikes, as we said, goes to Misano this weekend for another round of the championship after almost a month break, and we'll look at how the Brits are going to be doing and how the championship state is at World Superbikes at the moment. And as you mentioned, Lester, there was a big update with Johnny Garness today about his injuries and the fact that he has returned, the fact he's been discharged from hospital and he's returned home. Which
is good news. But yeah, a bit more of the update from the Garness family, in that they discovered a few more broken parts of him, and they're not too sure. Basically, when he came back home from Portugal a week or so ago, He was then transferred to a hospital in Bristol, and then they did some more tests and they discovered that he was a bit more injured than what they previously thought, as I think he has some damage to his couple of vertebrae, and they're not sure if that's from a previous injury or an aggravated new thing or whatever. But yeah, basically, he's probably out for at least the rest of this season. Johnny, don't rush back. Get fit first. It's just not worth even risking it. So, yeah. But we'd love to have you back in the commentary box, at least. So while you're not doing much and just recovering, you fancy popping along, seeing some old friends at Fab Racing, Johnny? We'll drag you in the commentary box and get you on the mic with Lewis. So there you go.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Lester, yeah, I think the key thing is not to rush things back. But going by this statement, it doesn't seem that they're going to do that at all. They're going to wait until they've got the go-ahead from everyone, really, and they're saying that he's 100% fit and there's no chance of any of these injuries coming back to bite him in the later future. So yeah, it's going to be a long road to recovery, but yeah, they're definitely going about it the right way, and I think we would all love to see Johnny back with a smile on his face at a racetrack, whether that be racing one day or just there watching and watching his mates go round.
In other news, in MotoGP, Pecco Bagnaia has been announced. Now, I didn't know anything about this. Maybe it was previously announced, I don't know, but it popped up on the MotoGP website earlier, I think today. Bagnaia is Disney's latest big star. Yes, that's right. Obviously. Why wouldn't he be? Yeah, the world champion will voice a character in the upcoming movie Elemental, the new Disney and Pixar film, which is set to be released on June the 21st. Francesco's talents know no bounds, say MotoGP.com. Well, we've not heard him yet, so... the world champion is no stranger to entertaining MotoGP fans with on-track skills. I'm reading from the website now, by the way. But now the Italian is set to showcase his acting range with Disney and Pixar. Pecco took to social media to announce his latest adventure, making his voice acting debut. Elemental is the highly anticipated Disney and Pixar film, allegedly, set to hit theatres on June 21st. In the movie, he will lend his voice to the eponymous character, Pecco. He's even got a character named after him. One of the residents of Element City, interestingly enough, is the Ducati rider, proudly supported on track by his fan club. Okay. I have no idea what this movie is about, but it's vaguely sort of somewhat... Is it even in English? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it will be in English, so that'll be. I've just looked as well, and it's going to be releasing in the 7th of July for us in the UK. But I don't know if Pecco will actually be voicing it in the UK as well. I don't think there's been an announcement whether that's just in Italian or if it's actually going to be a worldwide thing. Well,
I mean, thumbs up if he's doing lots of different regional voiceovers. But yeah, there's check it out for yourself. Go on the MotoGP.com website, and there's a fairly large picture of him displaying, I presume, his character, and he's stood in front of it. When his character in the movie doesn't seem very impressive on first sight, just by the looks of it. But I'm judging based on looks, and you shouldn't do that. Check it out, is all I'll say. Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much the bottom of the barrel in terms of news. So yeah, Bagnaia in the latest upcoming Disney Pixar movie.
Yeah. As we mentioned, it's been not the fastest week for news anyway, not the biggest news stories. However, finally, there has been a news story which has been announced as we've been on air, which is a rare occasion. But and it's from BSB, and it's a statement from the British Superbike saying during a private testing at Knockhill Racing Circuit on the on Tuesday, the 30th of May, during the afternoon session, Andrew Irwin crashed at turn 1 at Duffer Steps. The session was stopped and Andrew was taken to the medical centre for assessments of a possible arm fracture. He was then transferred to Dundee Hospital, where it was confirmed that he has suffered a fracture to his right humerus, and he is continuing to receive treatment. So Andrew Irwin has fractured his right arm during testing at Knockhill today.
Breaking news here on Motorsport Radio as we've been on air, as you've just been hearing Andrew Irwin coming a cropper at Knockhill. So, obvious questions from that, Lewis. How's that going to affect his season?
Yeah, well, it depends on how long the recovery's going to be and how long he's going to dare to come back at. I mean, he doesn't have long. He only has, 2 or 3 weeks till Knockhill. So if he tries to ride at Knockhill, it's going to be a tough ride anyway, because it's a tough track for any Superbike rider. So I think, really, to be fair, Andrew, especially at Donington Park, you couldn't really put him down as a championship contender, not due to his pace, but due to the fact that he was having 1 or 2 crashes and he was pushing a bit too hard. And it seems that at the testing today, he's crashed as well and he's injured himself. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see how he recovers and actually how bad the fracture is to his arm. I think he's going to try to get surgery as soon as possible and potentially go in the oxygen chamber. That would definitely make the most sense for the quickest recovery time anyway. But yeah, definitely not good news for Andrew. Hopefully, and we can see him back, because his pace this year has been pretty strong. It's just being able to get that race finishes, get the points on the board that he's been struggling with in the opening part of the season.
We mentioned very briefly that, I tried to look for timing for the Knockhill test, and I think it's just 2 days. Is it today and tomorrow?
Yeah.
And for some bizarre reason, I don't know why, but there is no timing, no official timing of this test on. There's no TSL in attendance, or if they are in attendance, it's not online anywhere. So it's quite difficult to follow. Only the official social media channels and the riders' social media channels providing updates, and that's one of the updates that unfortunately we did not want to hear. So Andrew Irwin potentially probably out for the Knockhill round in 2 weeks from now, I think. 2 weeks.
Yeah, something like that. It's coming pretty quick anyway, the Knockhill round. But apart from, obviously, Andrew won't be on track tomorrow, but at Knockhill on track tomorrow, there'll be the Junior Super Stock class, the Junior Super Sport class, on the timetable, it's called the Moto 3 class, but the British Talent Cup will be out on track, and the British Superbikes and the Super Sport and Super Stock 1000 class. So practically every single class on track tomorrow at Knockhill on Wednesday's session. So yeah, it should be a good day. I believe entry is free if you're anywhere near Knockhill, that is, and that should be the only way, it seems, to get any sort of timing is stand at the side of the track with a stopwatch.
Fair enough. There was a bit of an ad hoc bit of test, or let's say riders sort of shakedown at the weekend with I think yourself as well, and some of the British Talent Cup racers in action, racing on the same bit of track, Lewis. Since we were talking about it, we might as well carry on talking about it. So, you were in action, racing at Knockhill in I always forget the name of what the series is called, the lightweights.
Yeah, it's the lightweight. Yeah, the lightweights category. So it's basically an open category, pretty much, where as long as you're within the same time, you can practically run in it. We have 400s, British Talent Cup bikes, 650s, 700s, a bit of everything really racing in one class.
Fair enough. And I'll just pull up some timing to see how everybody did in there, and you can see Lewis grimacing now, going, don't mention it. I just forgotten about the weekend already. But I thought you did all right, to be honest. Not too bad.
Not a professional motorcycle racer anyway, but it wasn't too bad for racing against these young guns. Yeah.
Lewis is only young himself, and similar age to some of these riders, but in the KMSC where was it? The lightweights class. There was, no, I'm looking at the wrong one here. It's Scottish Lightweights Championship. Have they got two different ones?
So there's a KMSC Championship and there's a Scottish Championship in one weekend. There's two races in each, but yeah, it's the exact same class practically.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's good. It's not confusing at all. Here we go. So qualifying then, Lewis. As a competitor, I'll just tell you who else was in this particular class as well, just so you know, and you may have recognised some of the names in it or from it. Owen Patterson, for a start. There was Harley McCabe, podium finisher at Donington a couple of weeks ago in the British Talent Cup. Greg Marshall as well. Some guy called Lewis Ray. There was Clayton Edmonds, Finn Smart-Weedon, Ronnie Harris, rocking Ronnie Harris, also racing in this particular class as well. Evan Belford as well, double podium winner at Donington the other week. And Scott McPhee and Sullivan Mounsey, just to name a handful of people. There were more, obviously. But talk us through your weekend from your point of view, Lewis.
So I was going into it, I seen the entry list and I thought it was going to be a pretty tough weekend anyway, because there was 19 lightweights, which turned out to be more than that in the finish up, with more British Talent Cup guys than what I was expecting. I didn't expect especially Evan Belford and Sullivan Mounsey to be there, boys that are fighting at the front for pole positions and race wins weekend in, weekend out of the British Talent Cup. And then we had about 20 of us, and then we also had some of the CB 500s, which had, I think, 38 bikes in them. So 6 of them got shoved in with our class. So it was a 26 bike grid, so pretty healthy grid. I think it was the biggest grid I've ever raced in my life. Qualified in 15th, and I was pretty happy with that, to be honest, with the depth of field. Going into the weekend, I wanted a 59 second lap time, and I got that in qualifying, so I was pretty happy with that. And then I believe in qualifying, it got red flagged just at the end after, I think it was Scott McPhee crashed at Scott McPhee crashed at Clark's in the exit of Clark's and brought out the red flag because his bike was in the middle of the track. So qualifying was ended early. Anyway, so yeah, qualifying, I was happy with it, 15th position, and already I seen the amount of British Talent Cup boys ahead of me, and it was going to be a tough one. The only thing I was happy about is I did qualify ahead of Greg Marshall, which is a junior Supersport rider, so I was proud of that one.
Yes, he did. P15 on the grid, so 2 races in this class then. Race 1, from your point of view, Lewis, how did it go? What happened?
Yeah, well, we had 4 races across the weekend, but we had 2 KMSC and 2 Scottish races. This is where it starts to get confusing. But the first race, I believe, would have been the Scottish race.
That tab up on my screen here. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah. So race 1, I they all can merge into one. But basically the issue is that I made a terrible start, to be honest. I was struggling with my starts throughout the whole weekend and throughout all last round. So I didn't make the start I wanted to. I kind of got boxed in a little at the start with a rider as well at turn 1 having a slight issue with his bike and having to retire straight away. So I got stuck behind him briefly as well. So I dropped back slightly and managed to make my way through the field up to P14 and then managed just to plug away at it. I was in a battle with Greg Marshall for a little bit, but I managed to bridge that gap, I think, halfway throughout the race. And then, it was a pretty lonely race, to be honest. Finished P14. The gap from the guy ahead of me, Graham McLeese, was pretty big, to be honest. And I knew it was going to be a tough one to close that in throughout the whole weekend. I was just watching that gap slowly edge away. But yeah, I finished in front of Harley McCabe, which I just realised now, and Greg Marshall as well. So I was happy with race 1, to be honest. My start wasn't good at all, but I was back in the 59s again. So I was happy with that one. And surprisingly, we had sun at Knockhill, which, that was a rare occasion.
I suppose that threw everybody off. Didn't it? So But yeah, P14 in race number 1 for you. So what was race number 2 then? Was that
the race number 2 was KMSC Lightweights race 1. So basically, your KMSC it goes off where you basically So you qualify, and then your race 1 is usually a Scottish race, which goes from qualifying. So you start where you qualify, and then you then go on to your KMSC race, the race after, which is where you finish in that race from race 1. So just like a normal race starting grid. Mm-hmm. And then your race 3, which is on the Sunday at that point, that's another KMSC race. So that's where you finish in the previous race once again. But then your final race of the weekend, just to confuse things, it's another Scottish race, which means you go from where you qualify back on the Saturday morning. So yeah, your KMSC is where you finished in the race before, and your Scottish is where you qualified on the Saturday. So yeah, it was pretty confusing, to be honest.
I thought the BMW Cup was confusing.
Yeah, it's the first ever time I've been Scottish Championship, so it was pretty confusing, to be honest. The 300s have only just became Scottish Championship this year, so I've never had to think about where I'm properly starting. It's just been the race result previous.
Okay. Well, thank you for that explanation. Basically, if your grid needs explaining in such detail, it's too complicated.
Yeah.
Just as a general rule. But so tell us what happened in the thing you just explained, race number 1. Yeah, that. I've already got the name.
Yeah, so it's KMSC race 1, but it's your race 2 of the weekend. I finished P16. It was only a 5 or 6 lap race in the finish up. And it finished pretty early, and I finished in P16. I wasn't that happy with this race, to be honest. I got an even worse start if I even thought that could be possible. And I couldn't really manage to bridge the gap between Greg Marshall and by the time the red flag came out. I can't really remember why it came out. I think a bike crashed at the hairpin and it was lying in the middle of the track, so it got red flagged, if I remember right. All of them, basically we had I think 4 red flags this weekend in my class, so all the red flags are somewhat merging into one, to be honest. But yeah, P16 out of the points. I was pretty disappointed after this one, but there's still plenty of positives to look at, to be honest. And third place, actually, Brandon Russell. I was speaking to him at the weekend, and he will be riding at Knockhill in a couple of weeks' time, and he'll be making his British Championship debut in the British Supersport class. So he's racing at Knockhill in the 650. He's the Scottish champion, reigning Scottish champion of the 300 class. So he's got a bike at the moment that's getting built to BSB spec, and he'll be making his debut in BSB at Knockhill in a couple of weeks. I don't know if that's official yet, but I've just said it now. You just
announced it, so yeah, that's what we're doing.
I'm sure he'll put something on social media pretty soon, and it's exciting for him. He's a really, really quick lad. I mean, I couldn't catch him at all last year. Still can't catch him this year on the 650s. He's so quick, so it's going to be exciting to see. And Keil Walker as well, getting a podium in that race. He races in the Junior Supersport. Silva Mountsie as well, top British Talent Cup bike. And I think actually with Silva Mountsie, going back to qualifying, it was coming out of Clark's going onto the back straight. I was on using pretty much almost all the curb to what I feel comfortable using anyway. And then all of a sudden, a British Talent Cup bike, a Silva Mountsie, peaks up the outside of that curb. And he had to shut off the throttle. Otherwise, he would have probably went into the grass, because I realised last moment that a bike was trying to come around the outside halfway through a curb, which you don't normally expect. But the British Talent Cup boys, they're so quick through the mid corner that even us on the 650s, we had to brake and slow down that much slower compared to them, that straight line there was really no difference between us. So yeah, it was a real lesson this weekend, to be honest, but only a 5-lap race, 6-lap race, depending on where you were when the red flag came out. But it was pretty short, and I was pretty disappointed with the race, and disappointed that we didn't get enough time to actually mend that result, I guess.
Okay. Well, yeah, I suppose it is what it is, and when you've been mounted, because he's always quite adventurous. Is Sully around Knockhill? reference Talent Cup last year. Him and Evan Belford ended up in some sort of a tanglement at the hairpin.
Yeah, I mean, Sully, I don't think he arrived until Friday night, so he missed all of Friday practice. But I believe the City Lifting boys were out there for practice. But actually, I forgot what race it was because I said they all kind of merged into one. But we're waiting in holds in the area, and we got called in just where we wait before we go out on the circuit. So we got called down, and we were waiting there. And then we were waiting there for literally what ended up being 10 minutes because all the marshals' radios apparently had technical difficulties or stopped working. So a car had to go around checking every single radio and checking that they could hear each other or replacing radios. So because of that, we were waiting in the holding area. All the tyres were getting cold, and then all the British Talent Cup bikes were starting to overheat. So then they had to switch them off, and then everyone had to come down with the leaf blowers and the rolling starter motors. And yeah, it was all a big mess to try to get out on the circuit anyway.
I can empathise with the radio situation. They've actually had that happen on some of our productions, but easy thing to happen. Race 2 for the KMSC lightweights was on the early Sunday afternoon.
Early Sunday afternoon. Because the Sunday we had at Knockhill the Rewind Festival come to town, and wow, what a day really it was.
I saw some videos of Rory and doing a few laps. It
was probably my favourite day that I've had while I've been racing. Just the amount of people that was there. It was great seeing the paddock. So many people come to watch us race just because the Rewind was on, and just because the likes of Rory Skinner, John Hopkins, Randy Mamola, Neil McKenzie were all on their bikes and all racing back on bikes that they used to race in. Like Rory was racing on his old GP 125. Hopkins, he was racing, he was riding anyway, some of Mike Skinner, Rory's dad's two-strokes, and riding a GSX-R 1000. And Randy Mamola also got to ride his 1988 British Grand Prix winning Suzuki 500cc Grand Prix bike. So it was great seeing that, smelling that, and got to speak to them all, got to meet them all, and give the likes of Randy Mamola and that a handshake. So yeah, it was really great to see them all.
And you even managed to buy a book off Neil McKenzie.
Yeah, I managed to buy a book off Neil McKenzie. I'll quickly go grab it because
he told me this just before we came on air.
Yeah,
I didn't understand exactly how this came about, and I still don't understand. But
so I've got a book now from Neil McKenzie, and it's signed by Neil McKenzie.
But it's not Neil McKenzie's book, though.
No, it's a book about 500cc two-strokes, and it's a book written by Matt Oaksley, and it's the last box, I believe, in the country that's getting sold at the moment. So yeah, I couldn't really pass up an opportunity. He literally just had them in a box in the pit garages in pit lane, sitting out. So we went up to him and asked if they're for sale, and he said yeah, and he was selling them for retail price. So yeah, it was a pretty good bargain for us, and I'll definitely enjoy reading that because it's got some fun facts about old two-strokes. It's got some unseen pictures and some pictures of the bikes without fairings and stuff on. So, yeah, it's going to be good to be able to get in-depth and nerdy about anyway.
I'll leave you to get nerdy with that if you want. Anyway, back to the actual racing. And from what I saw on the Rewind Festival, shame it wasn't live streamed anywhere.
Yeah, it would have been good to be live streamed.
That especially would have been good, wouldn't it? But maybe next year. Who knows? Give us a call. So I did see some of the updates on social media, on Skinner's social media channels, on Facebook and Twitter. Not the other one.
Not a sponsor.
No. From what I saw of it, the exhibition laps, they were pretty impressive. Obviously, you couldn't fully appreciate the noise and the smell of everything, but certainly looked impressive anyway online. Back to the actual racing, though. It's race 2 for the lightweights class, the Sunday, and no Evan Belford because apparently the team had already gone home by then, apparently.
By this point, they were still here.
Okay, they're not gone home yet.
They've not gone home yet, but they went home for the final race of the day. So this was their final race here. I don't know why Evan Belford didn't start, to be honest, but the rest of the bikes did. They had a free bike. Yeah, probably, but they had the free bike on in, so it was still Ronnie Harris and I think Clayton Edmonds was also in their on in this weekend. And yeah, so there was still the two bikes on track, two City Lifting Cavorno Project bikes. But yeah, they were still quick once again. Sullivan Mansell was still quick. And I got a P14 in the first race of Sunday, so I was pretty happy with that one. And I had a slight excursion, anyway, to the grass and gravel. But it wasn't a crash. So I managed to keep it up, managed to get P14 and managed to make up all the positions that I lost from going through the gravel and the grass. So yeah, I was happy with that one. Basically, I had a moment on the rear coming out of Clark's, going onto the back straight, almost flicking myself to the moon. And I got quite a lot of adrenaline flowing through my body at that point, where I went to the hairpin and ran wide into the gravel, into the grass, kept it upright and managed to rejoin on the circuit. So yeah, I wasn't really thinking too much going to the hairpin. I think I had a bit too much adrenaline.
Fair enough. Okay, but yeah, P14 in race number 2 for the KMSC lightweights for yourself. It was won by Keogh Walker, Owen Patterson second, Brandon Russell third. Mounsey was fourth in that race. Next to the Scottish Championship lightweights.
Yeah, the final race of the weekend, yeah.
That one. And tell us, there's slightly curtailed grid, lots of DNS, no Clayton Edmonds, no Harris, no McCabe, no Belford for that final race. But, you benefited from all those other people not starting. Tell us how you went on.
Yeah, I benefited. I didn't even know they weren't racing. I seen Keogh Walker as we were going into Holden area, and I kind of was like, oh, well, he isn't racing. Then he's just standing there in shorts and T-shirts. So I don't know what happened with him, but I know he was racing a R7 that he's getting a loan of. So, and it's pretty experimental as well at the moment. But yeah, it's not until I pulled up on the grid and I seen there was about 3 or 4 empty grid spots that I was like, oh, there's practically no British Talent Cup bikes still out. All there is was Sullivan Mounsey, or as he was getting called for half the weekend on the timing monitors, Sullivan Mounsey.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know how that happened.
Well, because I and you are right next to each other on the keyboard.
Yeah, but some of the qualifying sessions he was Sullivan Mounsey, and then other races he was Sullivan Mounsey. So I don't really understand how he's had 2 names across the whole weekend.
That's Mounsey for you. You never know what he's going to do next.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, Sullivan finished P5 in that race. And, you finished not too many places behind him, although you were the highest placed lapped rider, finishing P11, so just outside the top 10.
Yeah, I got they literally just got past me on the last lap as well. I thought I was going to get through the whole time, but the front boys this weekend were just putting on an incredible pace. I actually couldn't believe the pace that they were running at the front. I think it was a 52 set in qualifying, which was the fastest lightweight lap I think I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, it's incredible pace that they were running. I got a 59 flat, so close to the 58s as well, and I had a slight moment at the bottom of Duffus dip, where the rear end spun up and went to high side me again. And I managed to save it once again, though, and keep it on the good side of the tyre and good side up. So, yeah, I'm getting some new rubber for next round anyway. But P11, happy with that one, to be honest. A good way to end the weekend. We ended it on a high, so close to the top 10. And although there wasn't all the British Talent Cup boys out, it was still a great experience to be able to race with them and be able to run with them throughout the whole weekend, because watching them throughout the sessions and throughout the twisty bits was just incredible, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly sounded good. Just while you were mentioning that regarding lap times, I just checked on the fastest laps for this class, and there was a new lap record broken at the weekend for lap record nerd people, if you care about such things. In the KMSC lightweight class, I've forgotten already. What is it? The KMSC lightweight class. The new lap record, as far as I can tell, is now owned by Mr. Owen Patterson, a 53.110 set in the Scottish Championship Lightweights Race 1 at the weekend. Let me double check. 53. You see, the other race, I don't know if that counts also, but that was the KMSC Lightweights. That was actually quicker than the Scottish Championship, so I don't know if that...
I don't honestly know either. It's the first time racing with KMSC and Scottish, but the fastest lap time of the whole weekend was a 52.813 in qualifying, but obviously since it was set in qualifying, I don't believe it'll count as a lap record, but it was still incredible pace to be running. The new Aprilia's 660s and the new Yamaha R7s are just dominating proceedings at the moment up in Scotland and throughout the whole of the UK in the lightweight categories.
So that's how Lewis got on at the weekend. Overall thoughts coming away from Knockhill?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a great experience to be able to ride with them, to be honest. I was pretty nervous going into the first session, especially the first race, knowing the amount of depth and the amount of field that was in it. It's probably the biggest depth of field throughout all the classes this weekend, definitely the biggest names in it. It was a great experience. Happy to get what I came there to achieve. And it just reminded me how quick and how committed the boys that are trying to get it into MotoGP, trying to get it into British Superbikes are.
Definitely. And so good luck with the rest of the championship. Or I don't know what's your schedule like for the rest of the... Are you doing any other rounds or anything?
Everything's kind of up in the air at the moment. We don't know how everything's going to sort into place. Usually the East Fortune rounds come into Fab rounds. It seems that they just seem to tie it into. So we don't think we're going to do any East Fortune. If we are, it's going to be one round. So I think we probably should get all of Knockhill at the moment, it seems, unless if anything changes, which is just another 2 weekends. But yeah, it seems that this year, the maximum we're going to be able to get is 4 or 5 weekends because of the way all the weekends tie in. But it is what it is. And it means Scottish Championship is definitely out of the window. I think I'm 11th in Scottish Championship now. But KMSC Championship, I can still try and aim for maybe a top 10 towards the end of the year, depending on what grids are going to be like.
Well, yeah, why not? And you can proudly say in one of the races, I've forgotten which already, that you were faster than British Talent Cup podium winner Harley McCabe. So, in a race.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll take that.
You've got that. So, it's not as bad as maybe you thought it might have been going into the weekend. So,
yeah, and... and going into the weekend as well, Knockhill has also been resurfaced at one corner. The hairpin's been half resurfaced, as in if you run wide, you're on the old track surface. But the majority of the hairpin has been resurfaced, and it's probably the smoothest I've ever felt it. I was speaking to Silva Mensah on the Sunday, and he asked me actually if it was his old memory, if it was his memory playing up, or if the track had actually been resurfaced, and it had. It's really good in my opinion. It's been, we should hopefully see some lap times broken if we get some nice weather at Knockhill, because the drive out of there felt great. It felt really, really grippy.
And we'll have live coverage of when BSB go to Knockhill in a couple of weeks, live here on Motorsport.radio. Tune in all weekend. Especially good if you can't watch it on Eurosport Quest or Eurosport Player or Discovery Plus Player app or whatever the hell it is. You can always...
TNT soon.
Don't. That's going to be a nightmare. What channel is BSB on? Anyway, yes. So you can always listen to BSB this season, barring any third-party technical problems that I don't control. You can always tune in and listen on motorsport.radio for every single remaining round, I hope. Including, but not limited to, Knockhill in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, that should be good. And, just a quick reminder, just before we move on to the TT talk, about tonight's breaking news emerging from Knockhill regarding Andrew Irwin, Lewis.
Yep, Andrew Irwin at Knockhill in today's afternoon session at the private testing session for the British Superbike Championship. He's crashed at turn 1 at Duffus Dip, and after further assessment at Dundee Hospital, it's been confirmed that he has suffered a fracture to his right humerus on his right arm. So, yeah, some recovery time from Andrew Irwin, and currently he continues to receive treatment from the medics at the hospital.
Humerus, where is that exactly? Your leg?
Right, no, it's your arm. It's your arm, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I have no idea. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but best of luck getting back. We're just presuming that he's going to be out from the Knockhill BSB round.
Yeah.
But he might show up. I mean, miracles have happened, but
we'll wait and see. I'm just looking at a bone diagram at the moment, and it's your upper stage of your arm. So yeah,
that's not funny when you do that.
Just below his shoulder, really. Yeah, so he's fractured that.
Okay. Yeah, put some DP on it. You'll be right. Anyway, so moving on, because we've got still quite a bit to talk about. The Isle of Man TT qualifying is happening at the moment, and there's already been some news emerging, as we mentioned briefly, a brand new record, I suppose, a 200-mile-an-hour speed has been achieved by Peter Hickman.
Yeah, at Selby Straight on the Selby Speed Trap, recorded 200 miles per hour, the first ever rider to do it. And even in today's qualifying session, which was literally just a couple of hours ago and actually still currently going on, but it's just sidecars left for today's running. But yeah, Peter Hickman, 200 miles per hour, and even today, 199.667 or something like that he done, and that was from a standing start on his first lap out of the day, and he was near 200 mile per hour at Selby Straight as well. His bike in the straight line at Selby Straight seemed to have about 5 mile per hour over everyone else. So Hickman looking incredibly strong, his bike is looking incredibly strong in the early stages.
It's hard when vehicles get past that 200 miles an hour barrier. And that's like a big thing to sort of achieve always. It's such a weird number to even think about, to be honest, if you wrap your head around it. It sort of melted my brain a little bit when I was trying to put that into perspective, because it's not really that much slower than a Formula One car's top speed, or it's not that much slower than what the cars around Indianapolis at the Indy 500 were doing on Sunday. Incredible. And also it's on public roads with down Selby Straight. It's not even straight either. There's a kink halfway through it, and it's apparently the bumpiest it's been in many, many years this year, but yet they're still achieving over 200 mile per hour, and it's just crazy to even think about that, what it must feel like. And actually the TT Live guys have done a onboard lap, a helmet cam lap with David Todd, so you can head over to their website, where I believe it's free to view, and I believe maybe even their YouTube channel, to be able to see what that looks like from a rider's perspective, because it's just crazy to think that these guys are pushing on, and they certainly have the conditions to do it this week. I mean, even here in the UK, even up in Scotland, it's been over 20 degrees all day, so it's perfect conditions for them. Yeah, it's just been having a look at more of a comparison for some of the other things. I think a MotoGP bike can, I found an article from Autosport from God knows how old this is, but last year, okay. According to Autosport, top speed of a MotoGP bike is around 225 miles an hour, or thereabouts. NASCAR on an oval, I'm guessing, is 199 miles an hour. So Peter Hickman was going faster than all of NASCAR in that one speed trap. He's almost as quick as a Formula 2 car. He's faster than a Formula 3 car, obviously faster than Formula E. But yeah, that's it's just, I mean, I can't even imagine. It gets pretty hairy and pretty sketchy in my van going down the motorway, approaching anywhere near like anything above 80, which I never ever do, and I've never done ever. But just thinking about it, and the memories of when it accidentally happened, that was. Even in like a 4-wheel vehicle, it was getting a bit intense, and you're like, anything could, if I just, and then that's me gone, and then to do it like 200 miles an hour, and be like,
even doing what I do, which is only roughly 120, 125 mile per hour at Knockhill. I know what that feels like, and it felt really, really quick. And then to do another 80 mile per hour on top of that on public roads with hedges and walls and houses next to you is just on a circuit, crazy to think about.
It's a bit like when you're on a motorway, you don't get the proper sense of speed because everything, you're traveling so fast, and it's just, there's no visual markers to compare. Like if you're whizzing past houses, you know that you're going fast because you can see things whizzing past you. But if you're on a circuit, for example, it's like, oh, this is nice and whatever. Or same as if you're on a motorway, it's just you just speeding along. But yeah, to do that at the TT, 200 miles an hour. And I think he already today in qualifying, went 199 miles an hour. Did a lap there. He might,
first lap of the day for him, 199.6 mile per hour.
So, yeah, while I struggle to comprehend that anyway, but Peter Hickman setting a bit of a benchmark and laying down an ominous target for everyone else, and I think he I was listening earlier before we came on air a couple of hours ago to some of the qualifying, and they seem interesting. One thing that I wanted to mention actually is regarding the new, or the TT Live Plus experience. And you've got the subscription, I think, Lewis, and I'm going to get it soon, maybe tomorrow. But also a big shout out to the actual whoever made that website, because it's now, I think, better than it's ever been, in that everything is just easy to find and easy to watch from my point of view, which is all that matters to me. So big shout out to people who made that website there. But yeah, the TT Live Plus experience, Lewis, your thoughts of that?
Yeah, it's probably the best it's ever been, especially when we compare it to last year, especially the start of last year. Because at the start of last year, it was quite a lot of times where they'd cut back to studio to do some talking because they had no available cameras that were wanting to work for them. But even on day one, there was some slight times where cameras weren't wanting to work, or cameras were cutting off, or just stuttering a little. But overall, I mean, for 37.73 miles, you can't really knock it at all, and only for £20 as well. Even today, I've been watching coverage throughout the practice session, and then watched some of the studio talk before we came on there here today. I've actually got a sidecar class just playing in the background at the moment, and sidecar is still going ahead, and weather conditions still looking good, and the quality on it is great. They now actually have a TV app, and I believe even the Xbox app, so you can watch on the big screen without having to cast it from your phone like you had to do last year. And there's some occasions where it didn't want to work, or it would buffer because you were casting it. But now it's just so simple, so easy. And And there's also a 2-device limit as well, though. So I'm logged into downstairs TV and upstairs TV, so I can't log in my phone at the moment. So yeah, it's just so I could go upstairs and downstairs with TT playing the whole time. But yeah, I can't knock it at all, to be honest. A lot of presenters as well this year, doing some interviews around the paddock as well as having the commentators. So yeah, they've definitely spent the money, and it seems to be paying off because it's flawless for the amount of distance that they're having to cover.
Now, if your parents were not watching or listening to this show, and I asked you, is the TT something you'd ever consider, what might you say, Lewis?
If you asked me, but like a couple of years ago when I started racing, and I always thought like road race was something special. I always thought, like all racers did whenever they had their head that, they would want to do it for a living. I always thought, maybe it was something I would consider, maybe it's something I would want to try. But now even just making that jump onto a 650, having that extra power underneath me, and they race 650s at a TT, but they're doing crazy speeds. They're all 700s now as well. And yeah, now I've had experience on a big bike, a bit more power, I don't think I would be able to handle it, to be honest, for 3 laps even on a Super Twin race for 37.73 miles. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind commentating on a TT one day, but riding on one, it just seems something that's made for a special breed of people anyway. But yeah, I would, if I ever decided that I would want to do a TT, I would be killed by my mum and dad, I would think.
Murray Walker had a saying when he was around, those that can do it and those that can't talk about it. So, well, yeah, that sounds right. It sounds pretty right. I mean, I can do it, just not too much of a high level. But you probably talk about it a lot better.
Yeah, I can certainly talk about it a lot better and hopefully get a bit further with it. But yeah, the TT, it's made for a special breed of people. I mean, you watch them even just on the live stream, and it looks crazy even from helicopter camera. And then you see the videos from fans and the people that that are at the event, and it's just something else. I mean, John McGuinness, he's always said it's a bit like classical music when you're on the motorcycle, and it doesn't seem that crazy whenever you're on board the bike. But even watching from a onboard helmet cam, it looks mental. It looks something which looks as crazy as what it does on TV. It's one of those things, like most motorsport events, that TV and cameras just don't do it justice.
I don't think John McGuinness even knows what classical music is. If he thinks that is classical music, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, just going back to your racing at the weekend, just briefly at Knockhill, a comment has flooded in to one of our streaming channels here. A question to ask you about what happened in the race that you nearly didn't start.
The race. Oh yeah.
Go on.
I don't know how I've actually forgot about this, but it was probably one of the almost stupidest things that I'd ever done. I think this was race 1 or 2. I actually cannot remember. I think it was race 2 on the warm-up lap that I didn't almost start the race. And basically, since we had some slower riders in our class from a different class, from the CB500 class, with some slower riders in the field, and all of them seemed to make their way out towards the front of the queue to get out on the circuit for their warm-up laps. And everyone was struggling to get past them because we were 2 or 3 wide at some points in the circuit on our warm-up laps. So everyone was getting held up in a big, massive train, kind of a thing. But eventually, everyone found their way through. And on the exit of the hairpin on the first warm-up lap, because we've got 2 at Knockhill, the rear spun up, and I almost high-sided on a warm-up lap, which... It was a pretty big moment, to be honest. I mean, my chest was basically hitting the screen, and my legs were both off the foot pegs, and flinging about all over the place. And even the rider behind me, once came back in the paddock, he was laughing and saying he had no clue how I saved it. He thought I was gone. And I had a mark on my tank as well from where my levers had smacked against it, and some of the paint on my levers had came off and came onto my tank. So yeah, it was a pretty hairy moment. I actually can't believe I forgot about that, because I laughed about it somewhat afterwards, just of how stupid I would look from everyone watching if I'd actually high-sided on the warm-up lap. I believe that was also the race, in my defence, that we had sat there for like 10 minutes waiting to get out on the circuits. My tyres were pretty cold and I got a bit too greedy early on.
No defence at all. But your dad helpfully reminding you of that.
Yeah, I knew someone would anyway, because I came in laughing about it, but I would look so stupid anyway.
Well, you finished all the races at the weekend.
True.
So big thumbs up for that. And you finished ahead of British Talent Cup podium sitter Harley McCabe at one point.
It's good on my CV. So
next time he rocks up at Knockhill in a few weeks' time, you'd be like, hey, remember when I beat you one time?
That one, literally one time.
But anyway, back to the TT. One thing that we've not mentioned regarding is the documentary. However many parts it's in, 4 part, is it?
Yeah, 4 or 5 parts.
Yeah, but the No Room for Error TT documentary. Have you seen that yet, Lewis? Have you seen? I haven't yet, but it's got a lot of fantastic reviews. It's something that I'm planning on watching, definitely. But have you seen it? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've watched almost all of it. I have one more episode to fully finish it off, but yeah, my thoughts so far is that it's first of all great that TT gets this coverage now and is getting coverage before the events are even before the event has even started. So it means that it's a nice build up for the fans, and potentially new fans might, people that's not even fans might just flick on to ITV4 at 9 o'clock at night, and then suddenly this motorbike racing documentary is on. They watch it for half an hour, and they get hooked. So yeah, I think it's great. It's great to see riders like we've seen with for example, Formula One's Drive to Survive before it got a bit made up and fixing storylines.
But it's that sort of style,
it's that sort of style where you get to see the riders and the teams from an outsider perspective, and actually, all in all, there's not too much of the race in itself in it. It's more of in the pit box, in the motorhomes, and even the caravans for some of the riders. Dean Harrison, a top TT rider, in just episode 1, we've seen him, and he's in this big fancy motorcycles, big fancy setup in the garages, but yet he's just in a caravan that he's had for 5 or 6 years, and that he just has a bunch of tea bags inside. So yeah, it's great seeing some of the riders just like normal people and just having a laugh in the paddock outside the race. And although it is so serious, they are just like normal humans. And of course, it's all free on ITV Hub as well for everyone to watch back. So yeah, it's probably, and I believe also it's on the TT Live website as well. So it's probably the best build-up that we've had to the TT and the best coverage that we've had to the TT ever. So yeah, I don't think I've seen any complaints actually about it so far. It seems to be a big decision from everyone on social media to agree on something for once.
So far, anyway.
So far, yeah.
But yeah, can you compare it with the MotoGP documentary from last year, I think it was? How does it compare, and is it better?
That's a tough one, to be honest, because MotoGP is still my favourite championship. But yeah, I mean, the initial response from everyone,
in terms of like the entertainment of watching it and the actual programs.
Certainly, the MotoGP stuff, I would say you could easily not watch any of the racing and go back and watch.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Awesome, right?
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Technical red flag. Lewis high-sided off the call, causing a stoppage.
Yeah, something
That's because
like
you've been
that.
streaming the sidecars, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it kind of overloaded everything. But right now I'm on a mobile hotspot
Nice.
to this. But now the Wi-Fi is back up and running, it seems, because TT's just started again. But yeah, it's like a slight mishap anyway.
Anyway, you were saying regarding the... I thought maybe you didn't want to actually give your opinion on the... on how the two documentaries compare, the MotoGP documentary versus the Isle of Man TT documentary.
Yeah, as I was trying to say, anyway, as I kept saying for I think 2 minutes before I actually realised, and everything kind of just said no connection. But yeah, Scottish Wi-Fi. But yeah, as I was saying, the TT stuff. Certainly on the first couple of episodes, it would probably help to have some kind of prior knowledge into it, I would say. Well, the MotoGP documentary, you probably wouldn't have to watch any of the racing itself from that season to actually have an understanding of, what's happening and what's actually happening with the championship at the time. But the TT stuff seems to be more focused on actually behind the scenes, while the MotoGP documentary is more focused on kind of just telling a story throughout what actually happened that season, with occasional snippets of behind the scenes and in the pit box during the races. But yeah, the TT stuff is definitely more behind the scenes and definitely more to let you see the riders and personally and what their lives are like away from the actual racing itself. So yeah, both are great in their own equal right, to be honest. I was never a hater of the MotoGP Unlimited series, to be honest. I quite enjoyed it, but yeah, the TT stuff, it's definitely more behind the scenes and definitely lets you have more access to the riders itself. So yeah, I really did enjoy it. I hope they do it again. I hope they're already filming it again for next year, and hopefully we can have more segments like this, and hopefully we have more behind the scenes, because it's going to help build the event in itself, to be honest. So yeah, no real complaints, and I'm not listening to anyone with real complaints. Yeah, they're both good. And if you look at reviews for the MotoGP Unlimited one, it of course did have that period at the start where it did have the English dubbing over it, which caused a lot of people to leave 1-star reviews. So I would say the review on that is slightly skewed overall.
I was one of the people that didn't actually mind, to be honest, because I like to be able to watch and understand exactly what people are saying in English. But, apparently I was wrong to have that correct opinion. How dare I want to understand something in English? But yeah, the actual, I know what they mean. But anyway, maybe they'll need some of the dubbing for some of the TT riders.
Yes.
But anyway, talking about then the actual TT Plus experience, the live and on-demand stuff. There's the TT Plus live coverage, which is every day for a couple of weeks. So you can watch all of the qualifying week, the rest of the qualifying week, and then race week starts this Saturday, actually, Saturday the 3rd, and that's all basically on the website. It's all very easily explained, which is basically the job of a website, which is it's not always easily available in some places. But also it tells you about the ITV4 coverage, in case you don't want to splash out the £20 on the live streaming. You can watch it basically for free with the highlights, and it tells you what highlights are on when and on ITV4. And if you're an international viewer or listener, you can also catch the TT on ESPN in Brazil, for example, in Canada, in China, in the Czech Republic. And I didn't even realise it was even in those countries, to be honest. But yeah, and there's also the Manx radio as well, the TT official live radio coverage, which is very good, by the way. So, yeah, I'll be definitely purchasing that after, I think, only missing 2 days of qualifying. So, yeah. I'll be buying that faux show because I like to enjoy the racing and also judge other production companies. But yeah, check it out. And really, for £20, there's no way that you're arguing over that, because it's...
Yeah.
I think, actually, they've probably undervalued it, I think. I'm going to say, yeah, £20 to watch. I think it's 12 months access you get for it.
Yeah.
For £20. So after, let's say, if I buy the pass tonight, and I might, or certainly tomorrow, then I can watch all of these sessions, all of the racing and stuff like that, and all of the extra features and the documentaries, interviews, and basically everything that they publish for the next 12 months, which is great.
And all yet today's coverage you'll be able to watch basically instantly. They get put up really quick. All yesterday's and all last year's as well, you'll be able to watch. So yeah, £20, it's not really a lot for what it is, and for the amount of production value that goes into it. I mean, even in the qualifying practice sessions, they have a helicopter on for the whole time and for the whole coverage. So a helicopter camera, countless of cameras around the circuits. I think there's one or two static, but the majority of them manned, and a studio as well. And I think 3 presenters located around the circuit, and two in the paddock, and then one halfway around to the other side of the circuit. So yeah, it's really, really good, to be honest, for 20 quid. They could put up the money and it would still be pretty good value as well. Even if it was 25, 30 quid, it would still be good value for what it is.
I have to say, I did see some people on Facebook looking for non-legal streams.
Yeah.
And my first thought to that would be, well, guys, it's only 20 quid. Stop being tight arses. I mean, you people are probably the same people who moan and whinge when big events, can't afford, things like insurance to actually hold the events in the first place. So the events don't even end up happening because they're not generating enough revenue, in part because of people like you. Not you, but people like that who were complaining and looking for free streams. So yeah, £20, it's not just the live streams and the videos that you're purchasing, but you're also helping keeping the event going in your own little way. So again, that's why you should do it. It's cheaper to buy the pass for £20 than to attend any motorsport event.
Yeah. Especially get a ferry and go over to the Isle of Man TT itself. It's certainly cheaper than that. It's
cheaper than the petrol you'd need to fill the car to get to the ferry. Yeah, I think it is. And it's probably cheaper than a couple of pints in a pub while you're over there, if you manage to get over there. I mean, yeah, maybe we should do that one year. Just go over there and do some reporting from various places, and I don't know. Yeah, because that's, again, a lot of the reason why people love going over there is for the not just the racing and stuff, but the atmosphere and some such, and all the other stuff that goes with it. It's
it's not just a race. Yeah, it's a whole event for the island. It's definitely the biggest income for most businesses and pubs, especially over there, for the amount of fans that come over just for that 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I don't know, but we could kick ideas around, who knows. But for £20, I think that's probably a bit underpriced. If you compare it to, I think Formula One have a F1 TV, where you can watch archive things of like 70 years and whatnot. I think that's still around £20, but Formula One can afford to do that because it's Formula One. MotoGP, for example, normally is £200. World Superbikes, it's just over £100. I forget exactly what it exactly is. 150 or 130 pounds. It's a lot of bloody money. BSB, you know, with your Eurosport or Discovery Plus or TNT, whatever the hell it is now. Yeah, you're not getting. You're not getting that. Yeah, that's not happening for £20. But to watch, probably when it's on, the single biggest event in all of world motorsport. I did a search on Google actually to see the trending searches, and during the period that it's actually on, the TT is more popular than Formula One, for example, and every other motorsport. So it is in that time frame of a few weeks the most popular thing in the world. So since I've now said, I suppose, that it's slightly underpriced, an obvious question would be, well, what would be, a good balance? How much revenue could they generate from the likes of us? What would you pay?
Yeah, I would.
If it was £50, would you pay it?
I probably would. I wouldn't pay it as I would probably have to at least have a slight think about it. But I think I would still pay it in the end. Probably 40 is probably the most I would go where I would just quickly think about, without even having to think about it, just buy it. And I would still pay 50, but I would just need to have a little minute or two just to think.
Yeah, I think I think they could easily double the price. Keep it £39, less than 40, and I think that's still within that region of just buy it, just pay for it, because it's anything more than 40, it's like, you don't, So I think, you can. But
you need a minute just to think, is this really going to be worth it? Am I really going to be able to watch it? I mean, I think certainly now, they have the only way to watch it is by TT Plus Live, legally anyway. And why wouldn't you want to support the event? And certainly for people like me, you get to watch 5 hours of the TT every single day instead of watching 1 hour of highlights. So, you can't really be complaining.
For up to 12 months as well. So, you can rewind and replay all the live action, the website says. And, so check it out. Plus, you get access to all the other bits of stuff. It's not just the racing as well, that documentary as well that you mentioned. And, there's also, there's a full platform. There's the various episodes, the daily reviews, onboard laps, tons of interviews. For £20, that's ludicrously cheap. So, sorry, I don't want to put ideas in people. So when it goes up to like £39 next year, everyone will be like,
it's your fault.
But, hey-ho. But we should be supporting motor racing with money, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to do it. So, anyway, other bits of TT news. Is there any that we've not mentioned? Probably
the biggest story from yesterday, anyway, was just Michael Dunlop in general. Michael Dunlop, he finished fastest in the Super Twin class on the Patton machine. He finished fastest in the Super Sport class on board the Yamaha R6, and he finished fastest in the Super Stock and the Superbike class on board the Hawk Racing Honda. So, Michael Dunlop dominating in every single class that he's touching at the moment. And the only thing he's not fastest in is, of course, the sidecars, because he's not in it. So, Michael Dunlop looking incredibly strong on day one.
I heard he's quite good, is that Michael Dunlop.
He could potentially, if he plays his cards right this year and he wins practically every single race, he would match, I believe, Joey Dunlop and become the joint most successful rider of all time. He's got 21 TTs to his name, and if he wins 2 TTs this year, he's just 2 TT wins away from matching John McGuinness with 23 wins, and Joey is 26. So Michael Dunlop, he's looking at the moment that he's on the path to become the most successful TT riders. Even yesterday, he claimed an unofficial lap record in the lightweight category in the Super Twin class. And yeah, he's looking incredibly strong. So yeah, Michael Dunlop, Dean Harrison and Peter Hickman right now are flying, and it's only day 2 of the TT.
Indeed, yeah. Qualifying is, as we're talking, just sort of wrapping up for day 2, I think. Day 2. And yeah, we're looking forward to the actual races. Your thoughts on the actual races? What could happen? What do you want to see, if anything at all? Or are you just happy to see how it all unfolds?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm just going to be happy to see how it all unfolds. But John McGuinness, so far anyway, has been looking incredibly strong. Obviously, we are just on day 2, but it's just interesting to see how fast times are dropping, because already in Q2 today in qualifying Peter Hickman set a time of 132 mile per hour, which is overall, so 17 minutes and 8 seconds was his lap time over the 37.73 mile course. So Peter Hickman already pushing on, and it seems that his bike has the leg in a straight line. But John McGuinness, he's looking strong as well from the output, and he's aiming towards a podium this year at the TT. And to see John on the podium would be pretty special. John, of course, the only Honda Racing UK rider after Nathan Harrison pulled out after a crash at Northwest 200. But yeah, I hope that obviously we could see close battles. Peter Hickman, Dean Harrison, Michael Dunlop going at it. Having a freeway scrap would be pretty special to see throughout every single sector. Davey Todd as well, a rider to look out for. He's certainly one of the more erratic riders, it seems. He likes to pull a little wheelie for the fans, pull a stoppie for the fans sometimes as well. And yeah, he's certainly a fans type of guy. Connor Cummins as well this year. Jamie Coward as well on the KTS racing machine, certainly in the Super Twin class, is going to be a rider to look out for. He got a podium last year at the TT, I believe, on that machine in the Super Twin class. But yeah, Michael Dunlop and Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison are certainly the three to be looking out for at the moment. And it's going to be a good couple of weeks. In the sidecar side of things, there was, I think, Nathan and Callum Crowe had a crash yesterday at Laurel Bank, and Callum got injured from that after a couple in stone wall, but he just had some slight leg injuries, and he looks to be coming back later on in the week for free practice. So yeah, the Crow boys in the sidecar categories aren't stopping after off anyway, so it just shows how much grit and determination these guys have at the TT, and it's going to be a good couple of weeks because weather conditions look to stay just as nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed it all goes to plan and everybody stays safe. There are no injuries, and that we're all treated to some great, clean, fantastic, thrilling racing over the next week or so. And, well, you can check it out all live and free on ITV, not live, but free on ITV, or for £20 on the TT Plus platform as well. Go to iomttraces.com, the place to get the TT Plus access for literally live coverage of every day, something that was trialled for the first time last year and is improved upon this year. And we often complain, like many other people in motorsport, in our own little bubbles and championships, about how things have never been worse and stuff like this, and we all often like to sort of trick ourselves and complain as though things are quite bad at the moment in various things in terms of prices and access and yada yada yada. But really, when you look at the levels of, you know, what's available in terms of streaming at least, and compare the prices to, I mean, for example, streaming for TT just never, ever happened before last year. Live coverage of the TT it was such a massive undertaking that nobody ever did it. But now the technology exists that it could be done. They are doing it. It's never probably going to be 100% perfect because that would require probably 200 cameramen or operators. And that would be interesting cabling all of that. Get Connor to do it. We have a colleague called Connor. Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I think generally at the moment things are as good as they have ever been in terms of streaming and access to big motorsport championships. Some of the biggest ones do cost the most money, but things like the TT for 20 quid, you can't really complain about that. So I don't want to hear any complaints. Or give you a basically. And I do not want to hear anyone looking for, free dodgy streams, because for 20 quid, I mean, that's...
You tell them.
Yeah, well, just did. Anyway, so yeah, TT Plus, I'll be watching that the rest of the week, and that will hopefully be good. Everyone stay safe, hopefully. Did we even mention Josh Brooks?
No, we haven't actually. Josh has had a somewhat quiet start to his TT debut. I mean,
because it was only announced literally last minute.
Well, yeah, he was obviously going to race for the FHO squad in the Superstock and Superbike classes, and he finished 12th overall today, I believe, on Superstock bike. But it was an all last minute deal for Josh Brooks to be racing in the Super Twin class for the Dapabet racing team on board the Kawasaki Z650 or the ER650. So similar to the ones like I race, Josh will be hopping on one of them at the TT, and he's going to be hoping for a good result, hopefully. I mean, it's all last minute deals, so I don't think they'll have too much aims and expectations, but it's going to be interesting to see how Josh Brooks does in a TT and how he does managing 3 classes at the TT, because he's not done a Isleman TT since 2018 or something. I think it was 2018 on the Norton was his last TT. So to come back and to do 3 classes at once, it's going to be pretty manic for Josh Brooks.
Yeah, he did say that he felt, I think his statement today, like you mentioned, or yesterday, whenever it was, that he does feel good having been away for a few years. So, yeah, see how he goes. I was just trying to have a look at the latest timing from... but I couldn't see anything. But that was probably just me not clicking in the right tabs and stuff.
Yeah. Timing is one thing that can be somewhat tricky to find at the TT website. That's probably my only gripe, is that you really need to go looking. But
I did find it earlier, but I thought I'd save the tab, and then it was like, click on that, and then it was there.
Overall today, it was Peter Hickman who was fastest in the Superbike class and overall, with Dean Harrison in second. Michael Dunlop was third on a super stock bike, and he was fourth on the Superbike overall, with Connor Cummins, David Todd, Jamie Coward, James Hillier, David Johnson, and John McGuinness rounding out the top 10. But there was only one solo class, one solo practice that took place tonight, because there was an oil spill and there was a red flag. Well, the session ended slightly early due to that, and the Super Sport / Super Twin practice never got underway at all. They cancelled the session, and then the sidecars were out late as well tonight. They didn't get out to, I think, 8:15. So, yeah, the Super Twin and Super Sport bikes anyway will definitely be feeling that tonight, although they did get a lot of running in yesterday due to how great the conditions were. But certainly the people like Josh Brooks, which are hopping on a Super Twin for the first time in quite a few years anyway, and racing on a bike which he's only got told and official confirmation that he's riding on a couple of days ago, that's not what he would be wanting at all, to get the practice session cancelled tonight. So, once again, just good luck to everybody involved. Just generic, well-meaning statements and stuff. Just, everyone stay safe and the like. Just having a quick scroll through Twitter and seeing everybody getting a bit jealous, to be perfectly honest. Seeing people just along the course taking their selfies and be like,
living my best life and stuff. And I'm just here doing it. No offence, Lewis.
Yeah, I think everyone would like to be at a TT at the moment, to be honest, especially in weather like this. It's the best conditions that we've had at a TT since 2018, probably, when it was a nice sunny week as well. And on that week, of course, we've seen the new all-time lap record at a TT set by Peter Hickman, which was a 135 mile per hour lap time. So I think question everyone's lips that we're already at 132 today on the second day of running. Will we see that lap record finally broken? And if so, who's going to break it? So yeah, it's going to be an exciting couple of weeks, and it certainly seems to be the year to be at a TT with the weather conditions and with the amount of depth of field that we have.
Indeed. And we'll hopefully bring you more information and insights and various opinions on TT and how various people go on our website, motorsport.radio. Check it out. It's not just a 24/7 radio stream platform service with an amazing breakfast show every Monday to Friday between 6 and 9 a.m. in the morning, talking only about motor racing, the world's only motorsport radio breakfast show. But we also have a fantastic website as well to read some articles and watch some videos, for example. So check it out, motorsport.radio. Right, so is that everything from the TT done? Because we've got World Superbike stuff to talk about, because that's happening this weekend at Misano. And, the big headlines going into that after seems like a good old while away.
It's been almost a month break since we last watched World Superbikes on track at Catalonia. But, of course, probably the biggest headline heading into the weekend is what we discussed in last week's show with Toprak Razkatioglu announcing his departure from Yamaha, and he's going to be heading to BMW. So we might see more insight about that across the weekend, because I'm sure plenty of journalists are going to have questions for him to answer. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what he says. But yeah. But Alvaro Bautista and Ducati in general is dominating World Superbikes at the moment and continues to dominate. And now they head to Italy for the first of two Italian rounds this year, in Misano for the first one, and then to Imola for the second round. So Alvaro Bautista, he currently leads by a lot. He's on 236 points, and Toprak Razkatioglu in second position only has 167 points. So a massive gap between them and Alvaro Bautista, and Ducati continues to dominate. Will we see Toprak manage to keep up his form for the rest of the year, to keep up fighting for race wins and pole positions, even though he's announced his departure for the team? It's going to be interesting to see how the relationship with them develop, and how Jonathan Rea and Kawasaki are going to go for the rest of the year. And also, all the Yamaha riders now, I would think, are going to be battling for that second seat in the factory team with Toprak leaving. So potentially these next couple of rounds might decide who Yamaha are going to go and put in the factory seat. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of rounds.
Definitely is. Predictions for this weekend then in the races, Lewis?
Alvaro Bautista is going to win. World Superbikes at the moment is in a tough place because Bautista, so far this year, there's been 12 races and he's won 11 of them. And I think that's a pretty damning statistic, to be honest. The only person that's won a race other than Bautista has been Toprak Razkatioglu. So it's going to be interesting to see. He's going to have that extra drive with it being in Italy, with him being on Ducati, that he's going to want to take a race win. But yeah, how will he do? We're going to have to wait and find out. But statistics going by that at the moment, you would have to put Bautista as the favourite.
It's I don't think one rider, I mean, he's clearly doing the best job with the package that he has. So yeah, just enjoy it while it lasts, I suppose. He's definitely enjoying things. We should enjoy it just because, yes, he's winning a few races here and there. But that never was always the case, and it might not be the case after this year, for example.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the battle for second anyway for this season, it's been really, really good. There's been 4 or 5 riders battling for second position. It just seems to be Bautista who has the legs up on pretty much everyone else. And on World Superbike, .com today or yesterday, they had released a video where basically he said that he didn't care who his teammate was because it's not just his weight which is making him win. So yeah, Bautista clearly seems confident in his own ability, and right now it's definitely showing on the circuit with him signing, of course, a 1-year extension to stay in World Superbikes with the factory Ducati team for yet another season in 2024.
And why not? Because, don't try and fix what ain't broke, as Jonathan Rea literally demonstrated for many years. Talking about Jonathan Rea, he's 4th in the championship, about 100 miles away in terms of points from the lead. Has he any chance of? Clearly he has a chance, but realistically, has he got any chance of clawing his way back to the front?
I think he can fight for a top 3 this season, but definitely not a championship win. I mean, he's 136 points down. I think we would need something to happen to that Ducati in the next couple of races for it to have mechanicals or for something else to happen, because right now Bautista seems really, really dominant. Even if that was to happen, you have the likes of Razkatioglu and Locatelli on the Yamahas that are looking really strong this year. It's not on the Ducati level, but it's definitely the best bike to be on that's not a Ducati. I mean, the Kawasaki, it just seems to be missing something, and next year they are going to get the added RPM at the top of the rev range, so they can hopefully claw back that speed that they're losing in the straight line. So yeah, I think Jonathan Rea, it's going to be a tough rest of the year for him. I mean, we've seen some uncharacteristic mistakes so far this year from Jonathan Rea, even in the opening round and the opening 2 rounds, certainly in Indonesia, where he was crashing, and we don't normally see that from Jonathan Rea. So it seems like this year he knows he's got quite a task at hand.
Yeah, mixture of just overriding potentially, or that plus age. He's about my age, to be honest. I mean, he's nearly 40. I think.
Yeah, he's not far off 40 now. Yeah, we need to have a look, but if I had to guess, I would say he's definitely high 30s, 38-ish. But Jonathan Rea, he's been in championship for 1 or 2 years now. He's won 1 or 2 championships in World Superbike. So I don't think he's upset about his career, but I don't see him also moving manufacturers at this stage in his career. I would say he's definitely with Kawasaki for the long run at the moment.
Yeah, he's effectively the Marquez of World Superbikes. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, is he? So, probably ending his career doing that. And why not? He's still very talented, and he is the highest placed Brit in the championship at the moment, albeit 136 points behind, but that says more about Bautista and his dominance than anybody else. So effectively, it is just a race for second place at the moment until something dramatic happens. And, Top Rack. I wonder if all of the negativity, not negativity, but I wonder if the entire universe going, BMW? Are you crazy? I just wonder if that might just start to have an effect on you, because if you make this announcement as he did, and then everyone slags you off for it, that surely has to have some sort of effect on you. You might, you can be forgiven for sort of doubting yourself come the end of the season, going, I'm not sure I did actually make the right decision there. I mean, everyone seems to be set against this, and so clearly he's a great rider, champion, and can little things like that play into people like his mind and affect his potential second place in the championship?
I would hope that we'd have some expectation that the reaction was to come from the fans and from everyone listening at home. It was a move which I thought anyway was definitely unexpected, and certainly from everyone else it was pretty unexpected. I mean, even on Sunday, I, on the Motorsport Radio website, released an article based on my opinion on the whole thing, as we discussed last week. But I released it on the weekend, and everyone in the comment section was practically agreeing with what I was saying, that I didn't think it was the right move for him, and basically comparing him to Scott Redding as well, saying it hasn't worked out for Scott Redding, saying that Toprak is an accomplished race winner and a very accomplished rider, but this move's only for money, and money motivated at the possible expense of his aspirations and maybe his career. That was from Phil Pearson. So certainly it's not really a mixed bag in opinions, but I would hope that Toprak would have that in his head whenever he made that deal, that everyone would be doubting him, and hopefully then he was able to get almost a mental block on that. But that in itself is going to be very, very difficult to get, because all it takes is for you to go in any post talking about it, or any announcement post, and to see any comment really, apart from diehard Toprak fans. Everyone's kind of slating the decision, it seems. But yeah, I think for Toprak, it's certainly for looking at what BMW's doing this season, it's not looking too great, unless if BMW have some special things come out next year. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how mentally within the Pata Yamaha team, how they can hold together for the end of the season, if they can go out on a high, or if we're going to start to see motivation drop off towards the end of the season.
And we did talk briefly when this was announced about replacements and possible rider movements elsewhere, and who might be taking his space in the team. Any other rumours on that?
No, nothing just yet. It seems that right now they have pretty much until July, really, until they have to properly think and make a decision on who the rider's going to be. So they have the next couple of rounds certainly to properly make a decision on that. So if you're a Yamaha rider right now, certainly the likes of Dominic Agater and his teammate, of course, Remy Gardner, you would be hoping to make that move up. And if you were the likes of Bradley Ray, hoping to try and gain from someone moving as well, and hoping to try and get a full-time ride from that. So, yeah, I think Yamaha is going to be the most interesting seat to watch in the next couple of rounds. Could we even see a non-Yamaha rider switch into that manufacturer? Could we see, for example, we've seen in Catalonia, Axel Bassani and Michael Ruben Rinaldi making contact in multiple occasions, and eventually Axel Bassani knocking off Ruben Rinaldi, and the Ducati bosses wouldn't be too happy about that. So could we see potentially a Ducati rider switch over, because there's also Petrucci there, so Ducati have plenty of talented riders on their own side of things. So yeah, I think the Yamaha seat's going to be very interesting to see who's going to gain, who's going to lose from it, and could we see another shock announcement? We're going to have to wait and see, because now this game of what we say every single year, musical chairs, has just got a lot more interesting. I'm
going to make an official Motorsport Radio prediction right now, and that is that this is totally just based on nothing at all, no knowledge or no insight, or just based on my own feelings, which may or may not be right, and if they're wrong, we'll never speak of it ever again. But if it's right, I'll take full credit for it, and that is that Brad Ray next year will take Toprak's position in that team.
So there you go, Motorsport Radio exclusive.
You heard it.
Lester has heard some insight information with total backed up knowledge that Bradley Ray will move up to the factory team next year.
Why wouldn't he?
But,
why would you not want Brad Ray in your, BSB champion? And, makes sense.
Exactly. Really. The issue is, though, as well, with Yamaha, like I was saying with Ducati, the amount of talent they have do have they have an ex-Moto E ex-Moto E vice champion and a Moto 2 world champion at their expense, and ex-Moto GP rider with Remy Gardner as well. So, yeah, they have a lot of talent there. But for Bradley Ray, I think we would be, any British fan that would be yeah, they would be amazed to see, and they would love to see Bradley get that step. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting couple of rounds. I mean, even if Bradley could get a full-time ride, a full season at the away rounds as well with a Yamaha team, I think we would all be pretty delighted with that. Yeah,
so start off by getting a full-time ride. and that would be it, I suppose. That would be the ride that you'd end up, getting. As long as he's not asking for too much money. I mean, this year I think might have just taken him down a peg in terms of his price. I don't even know because, but I'm guessing the reason that he didn't manage to secure a full-time ride was because he was coming in as BSB champ and asking for a bit too much more money than what was available. I don't know. Never done a deal so I don't.
No.
I'm just guessing. But I think we would all like to see that happen, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Lewis, could I be right about that?
I mean, I think right now it's more of a dream, in my opinion, anyway, to see him. I mean, I wouldn't, it was shock horror, but no, I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong, I think anyone would, but I think right now, anyway, it would be more realistic to see the GYTR slot open up, because we've seen, for example, Dominic Aguilar in his opening World Superbike race claim a pole position, and as well he is, of course, a two-time world champion in the World Supersport Championship. So to me, he would be my top pick if I was a top head at the Yamaha World Superbike team, which I'm not, but yeah, certainly going by past results and how it's been in the past couple of years and this season so far, my money would be on moving up Dominic Aguilar and then potentially letting Ray have that full-time ride, have a competitive ride as well. And certainly right now anyway, you cannot slight what he's doing. I mean, a 12th position, for example, at Assen for the Moto X racing team is incredible, to be honest, for Bradley Ray in his first season in World Superbike. So he's doing a great job at it, I think, at the moment. Only 5 points to his name, but he has only raced in 6 races. So he's got points in the majority of recent races anyway for Bradley Ray, and he's not made too many mistakes. He's going about it all the right way at the moment. He's not shown himself to be a crasher. He's just shown himself to be a consistent rider that is building into this new scenery in the World Championship. And yeah, I think it's great to see what Bradley Ray's doing, and I hope that we could eventually see him in a factory team, and if not next year anyway, see him in a full-time ride and with an experienced team in the World Superbike Championship.
Yeah, and let's not forget Taron as well. There's hopefully a position for him, I hope. I can't see where else he'd go. I don't see... He's not coming back to BSB.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a tough year. I was speaking to Neil Mackenzie at the weekend, just before I bought his book, actually. It was before that. But yeah, I was speaking to Neil Mackenzie, and Tara Mackenzie's bike at the moment, and we're round 5 into the season, and his World Supersport bike, I asked him if it still has a standard engine inside of it, and he said, yeah, it does. And so he's still not got a race engine. He's still down in the straight line speed, and it's not looking any hopeful. Even after last round, which was almost a month ago, he's still got a standard engine inside that MIE MS Racing Honda CBR 600. So it doesn't look like it's going to be getting any easier anyway. But yeah, all Neil said is that he's kind of hoping that he can get a competitive ride for next year. He didn't say where he's hoping to get that competitive ride, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting times for Taron at the end of the season, because he has had that test on the MIE Honda World Superbike, but even then, it's not really looking to be the bike to be on. I mean, the only MIE Honda that's scored any points so far this year is Hafiz Shireen, who's just ahead of Bradley Ray in the championship, but who has also had some extra races to his name. So yeah Hafiz Shireen.
But by default, if you're doing a full-time ride in World Superbikes, isn't that by definition more attractive for a rider to be in the top level of World Superbikes rather than even though you might be not very competitive versus a not very competitive Supersport Like or for example, if he had the chance to join a competitive or leading Supersport team, which might he choose if there was a scenario of going into World Superbikes, but knowing he has no chance of getting a podium, or challenging for a championship win in Supersport?
That would really be the decision on the table. And honestly, I thought that would be the decision on the table at the end of last year going into this season, but it didn't turn out to be the case. Instead, he got a Supersport ride that he probably wouldn't have been wanting. He wouldn't be wanted to fight for the positions where he currently is at the moment. So I would say he got the bad end of the stick going into this year. But I mean, Tyrone McKenzie, if you got offered, for example, a 10 Cassie rides for the top World Supersport team, you'd have to consider it, I would think. But at the end of the day, we've seen this year where conditions have been slightly tricky and not what you'd be hoping for in the wet, and some riders struggling. But Tyron's been able to take advantage of that and get within the points. So I think if he got a ride which was unfavourable in the way World Superbike, and he managed to get a couple of them races with an unfavourable ride where it's been tricky conditions, and he's been able to take advantage of that and show his true worth, I think that could turn into a lot more as well. So I think if I was Tyrone and they got offered a better World Supersport ride or a World Superbike ride, you would have to pick the World Superbike ride because it's been what he's hoping for. And like we've seen this year, there's been races where he's still been able to take advantage of tricky conditions.
Final question on World Superbikes before we move on, talk about some other stuff. Is Bautista making World Superbikes boring?
I would say if you're a Bautista fan, certainly no. I mean, why would you? But for the general viewer, I think it's a difficult one because at the end of the day, right, we all like seeing a battle for the race lead, and we haven't really had many times of that happen this year. And the only time where Raz Katioglu has been able to beat Bautista is whenever Bautista folded the front in Indonesia. So in the Super Bowl race, I believe it was. So I would say overall, I mean, we still have some great battles, certainly for second position, but there's nothing like that battle for the race win. There's nothing like a last lap duel between multiple riders. So I would say overall, I would say yes is my overall answer. I mean, I would say it's almost like the Jonathan Ray days that we had for so long, where people were commenting left, right, and centre saying, "Oh, Ray's making it boring. Kawasaki have made it boring." But at the end of the day, as well, it's not for Bautista or Ducati to slow down. It should be for everyone else to catch up and find whatever they're missing and find whatever's let Bautista get such an advantage on them, to be honest. I mean, we've seen some great championship battles. We've seen some great race battles in the past couple of seasons in World Superbikes. It's been a championship which you could watch weekend in, weekend out, and you wouldn't know who was going to win, whether it would be Bautista, whether it would be Scott Reddin, or whether he was at Ducati, whether it would be Jonathan Ray, or whether it would be Raz Katioglu. But now it just seems to be like we spoke about earlier. You could almost predict Bautista to win the majority of races if nothing catastrophically goes wrong with himself or with the machine, because 12 races and 11 race wins is just crazy to think about.
I suppose, if anyone is making it boring, we tend to, again, as motorsport fans, we tend to look at the person who's leading and winning all the races, but that's not their fault. As you mentioned correctly, it's the fault of, if anyone's, everyone else. So if you think it is becoming boring, then that is because, where's Jonathan Ray? Where's all the other teams? They're the ones making it boring because they're allowing Bautista to just run away with it at the moment. So, maybe. Let us know. Keep in touch on that one. That's World Superbikes this weekend at Misano. And, good luck to Brad and all the Brits. We didn't talk too much about the support classes and stuff, but I am conscious of time. Don't want to keep waffling on for, hours and hours and hours. because we've got some other racing to talk about coming up this weekend. And there is quite a lot of racing coming up this weekend. There's, first of all, the TT that's happening, and we've talked a lot about that, and you can stream it and watch it all live on the TT Plus site and app and stuff. This weekend also, Moto America back in action, I believe, at Road America. I've not really been following things so far this year, so I'm not the person to talk about that. But Lewis, you always like to keep an overview of what's happening in Moto America. Is that still the case? And if so, what is happening in Moto America this year? Any stories we need to pay attention to?
Right now, Moto America, I mean, the championship's probably the closest it's been in a long, long time. We've seen dominance from the likes of Cameron Beaubier before he went off to Moto2. And we've seen Cameron Beaubier dominate before he went to Moto2. And then we've seen his teammate, Cam Peterson, dominate as well. And Jake Garnier dominate on the Attack Performance Yamaha. But now it seems that it's anyone's game. It's any manufacturer's game. We've seen Yamaha, BMW, and Ducati fight for the race wins, and right now Jake Garnier leads the championship by not by much, to be honest, only a couple of points over Cameron Beaubier. So yeah, right now Moto America, it's probably the best it's been for a couple of years. I do have the Moto America Live Plus subscription, so I can keep up with that.
How much does that cost?
I believe it's around hundreds for the year, which for a national championship, it's a bit steep. To be honest, actually, you would need to check now, because at the start of the season you get a lovely offer, a pre-sale offer where I think it's $20 less or something like that. So yeah, they give you a nice little deal for that one. But Moto America Live Plus, it's quite steep in general compared to other championships.
Okay.
Yeah. I also right now, though, the Moto America Championship, if you don't want to pay the price to watch it, you don't really, I mean, right now for the season pass, considering 2 rounds have went, is $110 for the year, or it's $13 per event. So yeah, and it's the only way, for example, to watch the Daytona 200. So yeah, Moto America Live Plus, if you don't want to pay that, you're not missing too much, to be honest, because Moto America have kindly live streamed for free quite a lot of their races on YouTube and Facebook. And I believe now they have the whole championship for the Superbike class available for free on YouTube live. So really, with Moto America Live Plus, all you're gaining is some of the support classes, like the Junior Supersport class, for example, or Junior Cup as it's called over there. You get to watch all them races, and you get to watch all qualifying practices live. But really, if you're just a casual viewer, you can easily watch a whole season for free on their Facebook and YouTube channels, and with their website, it'll tell you pretty much what they're broadcasting on and where you can watch it.
Did not know that. So yeah, okay. I might actually pay attention to that a bit more then, if they're going to make races so accessible and available. There you go. Top consumer advice from Lewis Ray, who likes to spend, ironically, a lot of money on a lot of streaming services.
There's not. We really need, right? Talking about streaming services, we really need one streaming service that you pay a yearly subscription to watch your MotoGP, your TT, your Moto America, your BSB, your World Superbike. Just one big streaming service to get a bunch of 2-wheel championships or 4-wheel championships in packages, rather than being split across 5 or 6 different services.
Well, that's just called a TV channel, and normally you would pay, for example, well, at the weekend, here's what happened. I got really, because I don't have a Sky Sports subscription, and I wanted to watch the Monaco Grand Prix live. I just thought, okay, I just want to watch it. It's Monaco. And then they were also live streaming the Indy 500, as were Motorsport.radio as well. We had live coverage of it. But I really wanted, you want to watch it, you know. Anyway, so I thought, well, yeah, how am I going to do that? So anyway, Now TV, I think their one-day 24-hour pass was like £11. And I thought, well, okay. So I watched the Monaco Grand Prix live and the Indy 500, and I was listening to it on our live stream on motorsport.radio with the IndyCar Radio. Excellent live coverage. So I was really streaming 3 different things over the weekend. Normally, I think Sky Sports subscription, they don't split their channels up. They used to do a thing years ago where you could just have Sky F1 as a separate thing, just to welcome new F1 people who all like to moan and don't want to get involved in football and golf and stuff. The reason I'm telling you this is because, well, of what you just mentioned, Lewis. Sky actually do this. They lump all of their sports into one massive package, and it costs an absolute fortune, and their subscriptions are plummeting through the floor. For example, let's add up all the streaming service costs. Maybe we should do an article about this. Right, so MotoGP, let's say it's the start of the season, March or whatever. It's £200 for MotoGP, isn't it? Yeah. I think.
But I think it's 180 quid, but it's around €200, yeah.
So let's be generous and say £180. World Superbikes is 100 and...
I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you on the video pass subscription side of things, because obviously here in the UK we do have Discovery.
That's true, but I think that is more expensive now to have. But let's say we keep World Superbikes out because it's available on the Discovery Plus. How much is currently Discovery Plus per year?
Last time I checked, it was around £60, but now we get for free with the BT
a year
joint. Yeah, £60 for a year. Last time I checked. I'll check right this second. It wasn't actually. I don't think it was terribly priced, to be honest.
Discovery Plus app. Let's have a look. I mean, this is all largely irrelevant, because when TNT comes in, you just know that it ain't coming in any cheaper.
No.
I could be wrong, but I'm not. Okay, right. At the moment, yeah, it's £60 for a year for entertainment and sport on the Discovery Plus app. So that gets you basically all of Eurosport, or does it though?
Yeah,
it doesn't actually say. Discovery.
Yeah, it gets you Eurosport 2 it gets you 2 Eurosport channels and all the other stuff.
So £60. How much is the Moto America thing again, you said?
$110.
So what's that, like £90?
Yeah, just for Moto America.
And
which is
TT, £20. What else? There's the thing I'm going to mention next is... what is the thing I'm going to mention next? Speedway Grand Prix. And I think they do have a live streaming service. Obviously, I'm clearly an expert in this. Or maybe I'm wrong on that.
I know there's stuff, some of the races anyway, majority of them are also still streamed on the Discovery Plus as well.
Yeah.
But only on the app.
MXGP, they have for motocross fans and stuff. But again, MXGP, that's on
yeah,
Eurosport,
only the races are on Eurosport. If you want to watch the practices, etc., you have to pay for their own video pass.
Okay. The video pass for MXGP TV, and I'm guessing they have their own separate commentator, not the Eurosport. Is it Jack Bernicle's still doing that? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, last time I listened to it was Jack.
Okay. Interestingly, it doesn't actually give me a price when you go to sign up.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, they want you to put your details in, and then on the last page go, oh, by the way, it's £12,000. It's one of them. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to guess. Let's just leave MXGP out of it. F1 TV. I'm going to stick that.
Yeah.
F1 TV. So total running price for all those championships: MotoGP, Discovery Plus, which gets you BSB and World Superbikes and MXGP and Speedway Grand Prix, and the Isle of Man TT Plus app channel as well, live streaming, and F1 TV. And Sky Sports as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically all of that, £370. That can't be right. Did I mention about... No. Wait, we didn't put Sky Sports in there, did we?
No, no.
How much is Sky Sports then for them?
I couldn't tell you. Right now, for us to watch our Motorsport, we're with BT, so we managed to pay for a big sport bundle, it's called, where we get all BT channels, all the Sky channels, and Discovery Plus for £43 a month.
£43 a month, okay.
But that's just with the BT deal, so you already have to be a BT customer.
Yeah. Okay, so you can get... Basically, a lot of the stuff that Sky do, the prices that they quote, is very misleading because it's, for example, if you go on sky.com/sports or whatever, just to sign up, it's only £18 a month for Sky F1. But you have to have the sports package with that to begin with, because that £18 a month is like an addition. It's like... Yeah, or maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe it's just what I actually said earlier. You can actually get a separate F1.
Last time I looked, you couldn't. It was because I remember seeing an advert where it said £18 added on, but in the little text at the bottom it said must already be a Sky Sports subscriber.
But you get Sky F1 with Sky Sports though, so I don't.
Not all Now TV packages has the Sky Sports bundle in it.
Normal Sky Sports though. So this isn't Sky Glass or Sky Q or the streaming Sky. This is classic old-fashioned Sky through a dish, TV, no broadband, no bundles, just... I think Sky's become like too messy for consumers. It's just too...
Now TV seems to be the best way to do it, but it's very expensive.
Well... Not really. It actually works out cheaper. If you're just watching, as I did, just for individual races, and there's 20 races in a Formula One calendar.
Yeah.
Then that's, just over £200 a year?
Yeah.
And you're not getting a Sky Sports subscription for anything near that. I mean, that's presuming you're not interested in, what they're advertising at the moment, like Super League Rugby or Women's PGA or the Ashes series or US Open Golf or boxing or whatever. I know a lot of people are interested in all them different sports, but I'm not. I don't care. I'm only interested in motorsport, believe it or not. And that's all I want to... If I'm spending money, that's all it's going to be about. So... Yeah, if a company can't offer me, like Sky, if they can't just sell me something to do with motorsport, and I have to get, I have to pay like £50-odd a month or £60-odd a month, and get lumbered with some great options of watching, 5,000 football matches a week or something, I don't care, because I'm never, ever, ever going to watch any of them.
Yeah.
So anyway. Let's just say I'm buying a Now TV subscription just for F1 race days only. Rough cost of about £200. Total cost £570. Boom. Consumer advice right here. Which, over 12 months, is about £47. That's everything.
Yeah. So it's £1 or £2 anyway to be able to keep up on all things motorsport, and that's without being able to watch the likes of F1 free practice and qualified if you are a diehard into F1 anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's £1 or £2 anyway nowadays, and as we said, it'd be much easier if they had it all under one roof, all under one channel. But then yet again, it would probably still be almost as much anyway.
Well, yeah, we'll keep threatening that we'll do like a proper consumer show and have a deep dive into this, because it is a topic of conversation that a lot of people get activated on in the comments section about how much things cost and it's an outrage and government should do more and yada yada. It should all be on the BBC, etc. So we'll talk about it. One thing that is for free this coming week, and we don't have any time to talk about it, but the Junior GP and European Talent Cup series back in action from Jerez in Spain. It's streamed for free on the YouTubes, which is good, and I'll watch it. I don't know who's commentating. It might be Kiko, and it might not be Kiko. It could be Liam Hodgins. It might not be Liam Hodgins. It could be Tristan. Might not be Tristan. So whichever former presenter of this show is commentating, or none of them, good luck this weekend at Jerez in commentating it all. Eddie O'Shea back in action. Casey O'Gorman, last I remember, he was slightly injured with his hand or foot.
Foot now, yeah.
So I don't think he's racing, but I'm not too sure. But we don't have too much to. We literally don't have any time to talk about it because we went over my time budget ranting about TV. I know. But anyway, that's happening this weekend. So yeah. I think Brinton's going to be racing in it. Emmanuel Brinton, and okay, I'm just looking at the entry list. Casey O'Gorman is on the entry list according to the website. But whether
we'll wait and see them.
Yeah, whether it turns up, who knows? And Reece Stevenson also on the entry list. Good luck with that. And yeah, so who knows? And okay, interesting. Okay, I'm questioning this entry list that's on the website, on the juniorgp.com website. But anyway, final thoughts before we go for one more week, Lewis. You're looking forward to mostly what this weekend?
Obviously the Isle of Man TT I'm looking most forward to. I mean, it only comes once a year, so why miss it? And yeah, Isle of Man TT is going to be great to see. I'll try to keep up obviously on Junior GP and some of the Moto America stuff, as well as World Superbikes. Try and keep on top of everything. But Isle of Man TT, of course, is going to be my most look forward to thing of the weekend. And we had our we had our TV rant as well. And yeah, remember Isle of Man TT Live Plus, it's not too bad for the price that you're paying.
It's not too bad. It's bloody good, actually, when you compare it to, it's like 2 days of Now TV. So that's like 2 Formula One races for TV, for the TT. And you get 2 entire weeks for the next 12 months to keep it. Anyway, we've said all we're going to say on that tonight. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in or downloading the show. And sticking with us. Don't forget, breakfast show, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. here on Motorsport.radio with Kiko Giles and myself with the world's only Motorsport Radio breakfast show. And we'll be back next Tuesday, hopefully, if Lewis's internet hasn't completely died.
I'm still in a mobile phone hotspot at the moment.
Interesting. Okay. Which is probably connected to your actual dodgy Wi-Fi, isn't it?
No, I turned off my Wi-Fi just before I put it on, so I'm using up all my data at the moment.
All right. So we best wrap things up pretty quick. Thank you for tuning in. And check out the website, motorsport.radio, all the latest opinions, and download the shows, watch the shows, and get involved if you want to have your say and join the team. We're always looking for writers and camera operators who help us film live streaming and stuff like that, and presenters and commentators and basically any media folk as well. Thank you and good night.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.